Hey guys, welcome back to my channel where I talk about the NWSL, women's soccer, just soccer, only soccer. So it's no secret with my channel and podcasts that I watch a lot of women's soccer. Even when there is no women's soccer going on, I'm watching men's soccer, usually for background noise. Anyway, 2024 was a great year for women's soccer. There were a lot of games that I enjoyed watching and covering. And for this video/podcast, I'll be sharing my favorite women's soccer matches of 2024. Quick note, this is just my personal opinion / personal views, and there's no particular order to this. So that all being said, let's get into it. So the U.S. women's national team versus Canada CONCACAF Women's Gold Cup semifinal. This match was about as CONCACAF-y as you can get. There was rain, literal puddles, and just pure chaos. Leading up to that game, it had rained beforehand, and you could see the puddles on the field. In some areas, these puddles would be deeper than others. The players got soaked. You would just see the water coming up whenever they would run, dive, or do a tackle. If you watched the first half of this game, it was honestly basically unplayable. The players would kick the ball and it would hardly go anywhere because of how drenched the field was. It was honestly amazing how Jayden Shaw even managed to score in the first half. However, if you did stick around for the second half, things got better and more interesting. The match would go into extra time where Canada would draw 2-2 to the US, then go into a penalty shootout. The US would then win 3-5 after the penalty shootout. I like this match because of how chaotic it was, how CONCACAF-y it was, and seeing Alyssa Naeher make 3 penalty saves was pretty awesome. So next up, Brazil versus Spain Olympic semifinal. I was following the U.S. women's national team in Germany in the Olympics, and I remember I was finishing up an article and editing a video when that match was going on. I automatically figured Spain was going to win because, of course, but then I go on Twitter and I'm seeing Wasso Twitter saying Brazil is up 3-0. Like, what? Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I turn on the game and lo and behold, Brazil is up 3-0. I would see Spain score in the 85th minute, which was actually an own goal off of Brazil, but then Caroline would grab a goal in extra time, making it 4-1 for Brazil. And speaking of extra time, there was 18 minutes of it. 18 minutes of extra time because there was a heck of a lot of stoppages. But yeah, and it, no tie at all. No reason for it to go into extra time except because of the stoppages. But yeah, 18 minutes is pretty insane. Spain would score their second goal in the 102nd minute, and all Brazil needed to do was hold on. And thankfully they did. It would be Brazil moving on to the Olympic final to face the U.S. women's national team. Brazil's match against Spain was very exciting and thrilling to see, mainly because it exposed how bad Spain's defense was. Overall, it was a good underdog story for Brazil. Leading up to their match against Spain, Brazil would also knock out France. Despite losing to the U.S. in the final, it was cool to see them grab silver. And there was also epic trolling from Brazil fans too when it came to beating Spain. So staying in the Olympics, my next favorite match has to be the Olympic bronze medal match between Germany and Spain. Spain still had a chance to get a medal, and I honestly thought Spain was going to beat Germany in this game. I followed Germany during their Olympic run, and I was honestly amazed at how far they got, especially when there was barely any connection between the midfield and attack. The fact that they made it to the bronze medal match on basically good vibes, stress, and friendship was just shocking to me. Even though the midfield and attack were questionable, Germany did enough to get a penalty in the second half. Julia Gavin scored it, and afterwards Germany likely defended with their lives. Germany's defense during the Olympics was actually pretty good. It wasn't bad at all. I would give them that. The match reached the 90th minute, and yeah, all Germany needed to do was just hold on for their dear lives. but Yanina Minga would end up conceding a penalty in the 97th minute because it seems like a very Yanina Minga and Germany thing to do. All hope seemed lost when Alexia Putellas stepped up to take the penalty. I knew once Alexia converted, it would honestly be all over for Germany. The match would go into extra time. Germany, with their exhausted players, would not be able to withstand Spain's attack enough to get them to the penalty shootout. But the Germans had a key player, and that is Ann-Katrin Berger in the goal. Putellas took the penalty kick, and, well, the Germans were distressed. Ann-Katrin Berger would go on to save it. Germany would win 0-1 and take home the bronze medal. I was shocked at first, but then really happy. Despite everything, I was happy and relieved that Germany was able to beat Spain and come away with a medal. After that match, Alex Popp was emotional. I think it was a sign to her and all of us that this would be her final tournament with the national team. I think at the end, that was the moment where she came to grips with it all. Popp would announce her retirement from the national team a few months later. On a lighter note, French fans pointed out that this bronze medal match took place in Lyon Stadium, and that's why Spain lost to Germany. Yeah, let's go with that because it's funnier. Moving to the NWSL, the Orlando Pride versus the Kansas City Current first regular season match. Leading up to their meeting, the Pride and the Current were the final two teams in the NWSL that were undefeated. Their record was the same right across the board, but these two were both battling for the number one spot in the table. This match was tense right from the start. There were plenty of cards and fouls to go around. Martha felt as though the fouls on her weren't being called, and she was basically fired up for the whole game. Banda would score in the 37th minute, but then the Current would tie things up at 1-1 a few minutes later. Things would unfortunately get worse for the Pride after Lawrence would be sent off with her second yellow card, leaving the Pride down to 10 players. In the second half, the Pride would be awarded a penalty, and Martha would step up to convert, making it 1-2 in favor of the Pride. The Pride would win 1-2, and the team would proceed to celebrate in the Current Stadium. A little harder than Kansas City fans would have liked, actually. Martha was still fired up, the team was fired up, and because of this game, it would lead to a new NWSL rivalry between the Current and the Pride. So I like this game because it was fun and exciting, and because Martha was shushing the crowd afterwards. After the game, fans were saying the Pride were celebrating and acting as if they won the NWSL championship. A few months later, though, the Pride would defeat the Washington Spirit to win the NWSL championship in the Current Stadium. This goes into my next favorite match, the NWSL championship final between the Orlando Pride and the Washington Spirit. Banda's single goal would seal the win for the Pride. I guess you could say steal the win too. The Pride's backline and defense, as well as Anna Morehouse, came in clutch. There were definitely some nervy moments towards the end because the Spirit, who were desperate for a goal and could have sent the game into extra time multiple times, just couldn't finish their chances. On top of that, like I said earlier, the Pride was locked in defensively. They hung on till the final whistle. Seeing the Pride lift the NWSL championship as well as the Shield after so many years of letdowns and losses was just amazing. And I couldn't be any more prouder of the Pride. Martha especially had a great season and year, winning the Olympic silver medal and the NWSL Shield and Championship. Overall, just a great season for Martha and the Pride. So, stepping outside the NWSL and going to the Frauen Bundesliga, my next favorite match of this year was VfL Wolfsburg's first regular season game against Bayern Munich. Leading up to this game, Wolfsburg weren't doing too well. They were being questionable. They would qualify for the Champions League after defeating Fiorentina 5-0, but then they would lose to Eintracht Frankfurt in the regular season. They would win against RB Leipzig, but then lose to Roma in the Champions League afterwards. Now they had to face Bayern. Given how inconsistent Wolfsburg was, many fans thought Bayern was going to win against Wolfsburg. They were coming off of a 5-2 Champions League win against Arsenal of all teams. But then Wolfsburg, in their furbally ways, would go on to win 2-0. Enderman would take advantage of a Bayern mistake in the back line and score the first goal. Then the final nail in the coffin would come from Berenstein in the second half. She would score against her former club and grab Wolfsburg's second goal. Great game, but man, I was distressed. Now, moving into the French Women's Premier League. My next favorite match was Olympique Lyon's first regular season match against Saint-Etienne. All the previous games I talked about came with some struggle and fights, but this match between Lyon and Saint-Etienne was completely one-sided. Lyon would win 11-0. This was the first time I saw a club team win by double digits. I've seen national teams do it, but Lyon winning double digits against Saint-Etienne was insane and ridiculous. And the crazier thing was, I learned afterwards, Lyon's biggest rival is Saint-Etienne. But maybe for the men's team, but for Lyon's women's team, it's a different story. Lyon's women's team leading up to the game was probably like, yeah, this is going to be tough. We're facing our sworn rivals, you guys. We have to take this match seriously. Defeat Saint-Etienne 11-0. Lyon afterwards like, oh my god, you guys, that was so difficult, wasn't it? It was so challenging. Yeah, just ridiculous. Then a Saint-Etienne player said in an interview, we conceded 11 goals. It wasn't planned. We're disappointed. Honestly, I don't think anyone plans on conceding 11 goals. But yeah, I like this game because of how ridiculous it was. I like this game for, honestly, all the wrong reasons. Now, moving back into international games. My last favorite is England's friendly against Germany. Despite it being a friendly, Germany approached this game like it was a big final. Germany would go on to win 3-4 against England. I like this game because it was a great example of what happens when two attacking teams with god-awful, terrible defenses come together. Germany would actually lead 0-3 early in the first half because of England's shit defense. But since Germany's defense is also scheisse, England would come back and grab 2 goals. If you think about it, it wouldn't be Germany if they didn't blow a good lead. The women's team kind of have a history of losing a really good lead. So Germany would then extend their lead to 2-4 in the second half, but England would come back because, of course they would, and the match would end 3-4 in favor of Germany. Overall, it was a really good game. Germany and England both did well, midfield and attack-wise. They both did well, if you minus their defense. But honestly, it didn't feel like a friendly. Germany took it very seriously, which was great to see. Anyway, these were my favorite games of 2024. That is all I have for you guys today or tonight. Let me know what your favorites were, and I'll see you all in 2025. Later.